For years, Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar sold the American public a flawless, untouchable image of ultimate family values. They were the poster family for conservative, wholesome television. They didn't just have a show, they had an empire. But fast forward to right now, March 2026, and the internet is absolutely burning down. Explosive social media rumors and exclusive internet theories are spreading like wildfire across Reddit, TikTok, and reality TV forums. The trending topic? Alleged leaked reports of a second Duggar sibling, specifically Joseph Duggar, facing a shocking arrest on March 18th. While these massive claims are still shaking the foundations of social media and being dissected by amateur sleuths everywhere, they feel terrifyingly real to a fandom that has already been burned before. The whispers are so loud, the brand deals are already shaking, and the ultimate question is staring us right in the face. Is the Duggar dynasty officially dead? Welcome back to Jenny Exposé, the only channel you need for the deepest, darkest, and most shocking reality TV deep dives. If you love uncovering the truth behind your favorite childhood shows, do me a massive favor right now. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on the latest reality TV scandals. It really helps the channel grow, and trust me, you are going to want to stick around for every single second of today's video. Grab your snacks, grab your tea, because we are unpacking what might just be the biggest, most catastrophic brand collapse in television history. Let's get into it. Before we can even begin to unpack the absolute madness of the 2026 social media theories surrounding Joseph Duggar, we have to ask ourselves a very serious question. Are we looking at the single biggest scandal in reality TV history? Think about it. We've seen the Real Housewives go to prison. We've seen the Kardashians face their fair share of intense public backlash. We've watched cast members on Survivor, Big Brother, and the Bachelor franchise face cancellation. But none of them, and I mean absolutely none of them, built their entire brand, their entire multi-million-dollar empire on the strict, unyielding promise of moral superiority. The Duggar family didn't just invite us into their home to entertain us, they invited us into their home to preach to us. They monetized modesty. They turned courtships into highly anticipated television events. They sold books about purity, family values, and raising children in a godly way. Jim Bob and Michelle presented themselves as the ultimate authorities on parenting. So when the cracks began to show, it wasn't just a reality TV star messing up. It was the collapse of a carefully constructed, highly lucrative facade. Right now, in 2026, as exclusive theories and alleged insider leaks flood our feeds about a potential second brother facing criminal charges, the irony is deafening. How does a family that claimed to have the ultimate rulebook for a perfect life ends up as the ultimate cautionary tale? To understand the sheer magnitude of this brand collapse and why this March 2026 rumor is the final, fatal blow, we have to rewind to the golden era. We have to look at just how high this family climbed before they fell off the cliff. Let's take a trip back in time. The year is 2008. Reality television was transitioning from the wild, unhinged days of MTV into a new era of family-friendly spectacle. TLC, originally known as the Learning Channel, struck absolute gold when they premiered 17 Kids and Counting, which of course eventually evolved into 19 Kids and Counting as the family continued to grow. You have to understand, this wasn't just a successful show, it was a cultural phenomenon. At its peak, 19 Kids and Counting ran for an incredible 10 seasons. We are talking about hundreds of episodes. The show regularly pulled in an average of 2.3 to over 3 million viewers per episode. To put that into perspective, they were beating out highly produced, big-budget scripted television dramas. People were endlessly fascinated by the sheer logistics of the Duggar household. How do you feed 19 children? We watched as they bought groceries in bulk, mixing up massive industrial-sized batches of tater tot casserole. We watched the girls' buddy system, where the older daughters were essentially raising the younger siblings. We watched the strict dress code, long denim skirts, polo shirts, absolutely no shoulders or knees showing. We learned about side hugs, the family's strict rule that couples could not hold hands or kiss until their wedding day. For Middle America, and honestly for viewers all around the world, the Duggars became a fascinating, wholesome alternative to the hyper-sexualized Hollywood culture. They were safe, they were comforting, and TLC knew exactly what they had on their hands. The network built their entire brand identity around the Duggar family. The Duggars were securing massive endorsement deals, writing New York Times best-selling books like The Duggars, 20 and Counting, and Growing Up Duggar, and traveling the country on highly paid speaking tours. Jim Bob Duggar was an unstoppable mastermind of negotiation, reportedly pulling in anywhere from $25,000 to $40,000 per episode for the family. Do the math on 10 seasons of television, plus spin-off specials, weddings, and birth episodes. They were sitting on a multi-million-dollar war chest. The weddings were the crown jewels of the TLC empire. When Jill and Jessa got married, the viewership numbers skyrocketed. The network treated these events like royal weddings. Fans would tune in religiously to see the dress, the first kiss, the massive reception. The brand was untouchable. They had politicians visiting their home in Arkansas. They were the ultimate conservative influencers long before the word influencer was even a thing on Instagram or TikTok. But behind the bright studio lights, the matching outfits, and the perfectly rehearsed talking head interviews, a deeply disturbing reality was being heavily guarded. The higher you build a pedestal, the harder the fall is going to be. And the Duggars had built their pedestal out of secrets. As we sit here in 2026, looking at a family completely fractured by social media rumors of yet another sibling being handcuffed, it is almost impossible to reconcile the family we saw in Season 1 with the family we see today. The contrast is what makes these new internet theories about Joseph so highly believable to the public. The audience has been conditioned to expect the absolute worst from this family, because history has shown us that the most pristine, picture-perfect families often have the darkest closets. Right now, TikTok sleuths are zooming in on old episodes, trying to find any foreshadowing. Reddit users on reality TV forums are piecing together flight records, local Arkansas police blotters, and exclusive anonymous theories regarding the March 18th update. While these are still just explosive rumors circulating the web, they have completely paralyzed the remaining Duggar siblings' social media presences. Sponsorships for the daughters who branched out are reportedly being paused. The entire legacy of those 10 golden seasons is being dragged through the mud all over again. May 2015. This is the exact month the unbreakable Duggar empire sustained its first fatal fracture. Up until this point, the family was an unstoppable money-making machine. But then, a bombshell police report from 2006 was released to the public, and the internet came to an absolute standstill. The reports revealed that Josh Duggar, the eldest son and the golden boy of the family, had committed highly inappropriate and abusive acts against 5 underage girls, including some of his own sisters when he was a teenager. The public was absolutely horrified. But what made the scandal an unprecedented PR nightmare was not just what Josh did, but how Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar handled it. According to the reports and their own admissions, instead of immediately seeking professional outside help or reporting the full extent of the situation to authorities right away, they kept it internal. They sent him to a work camp. They tried to pray it away. Instantly, the moral high ground that the Duggar brand was entirely built upon evaporated. The very foundation of their multi-million-dollar empire, their strict religious rules, their books on purity, their claims of elite, righteous parenting, was exposed as a massive, hypocritical sham. The fallout was swift, and it was brutal. This is what we call a catastrophic brand collapse. Advertisers began fleeing the show in droves. Companies that had sponsored the Duggars for years released frantic PR statements distancing themselves. They wanted absolutely nothing to do with the toxic cloud surrounding 19 kids and counting. TLC, panicking over losing their biggest cash cow, but facing immense pressure from furious viewers and pulling sponsors, had no choice. In July 2015, the network officially pulled the plug. They canceled the show. For most reality TV families, this would be the absolute end of the road. But remember, Jim Bob Duggar is a master of negotiation and television survival. The family immediately launched a massive, heavily orchestrated damage control campaign. We all remember that incredibly awkward, highly criticized Megyn Kelly interview where Jill and Jessa were brought out to defend their parents and essentially sweep the severity of the situation under the rug. It was a calculated move to save the brand. And shockingly, it worked. Sort of. By December 2015, TLC found a loophole. They realized that while the public hated Josh and Jim Bob, they had immense sympathy for the daughters. So the network greenlit a spin-off, Counting On, originally called Jill and Jessa Counting On. The premise was simple: focus entirely on the older kids, ban Josh from filming, and keep the Duggar gravy train rolling under a shiny new rebranded name. For a few years, it seemed like the Duggar brand had miraculously survived the storm. They were back on television, the weddings resumed, the babies kept coming, and the sponsor money started trickling back in. But this era of the Duggar brand was built on incredibly shaky ground. The audience was no longer watching them as a flawless example of a perfect family. They were watching them with morbid curiosity, waiting for the other shoe to drop. And guys, as we all know, that shoe didn't just drop. It crashed through the ceiling and destroyed everything they had left. Which brings us to the event that completely changed reality TV history, and the reason why today's 2026 rumors about Joseph are being treated as absolute fact by internet sleuths. If 2015 was a crack in the foundation, 2021 was a total demolition. In April 2021, the world woke up to the jaw-dropping news that Homeland Security had raided Josh Duggar's used car lot in Arkansas. Shortly after, Josh was federally indicted and arrested on horrific charges regarding the possession and receipt of CSAM. Let me be very clear. The 2015 scandal was about things that happened in the past, heavily covered up by the family. But this was the present day. This was happening while the family was actively filming their TLC spin-off. It was an active, heinous federal crime. The public reaction wasn't just shock. It was pure, unadulterated outrage. Social media erupted. People magazine and USA Today were running front-page exposés detailing the family's legal troubles and controversies. The internet detectives went into overdrive, analyzing every single frame of old Counting On episodes, looking for signs, looking for any indication of what was happening behind closed doors. TLC could no longer use a spin-off as a band-aid. The network was backed into a corner, facing a public relations disaster that threatened to taint their entire programming slate. In June 2021, TLC finally did what they should have done years prior. They permanently canceled Counting On. They released a brief statement cutting ties, officially ending a 13-year television run. The Duggar. The era on TLC was dead. In December 2021, a jury found Josh Duggar guilty on all counts. He was later sentenced to 12.5 years in federal prison. This conviction didn't just end their television show, it completely shattered the family from the inside out. The absolute silence and unity that Jim Bob had, strictly enforced for decades, was finally broken. We saw family members publicly turn on each other. Jill Duggar, once the star of the show, completely broke away from her parents, eventually releasing a tell-all book and participating in the explosive Amazon Prime docuseries Shiny Happy People. Ginger Duggar moved to California, wrote her own book, and began publicly deconstructing the harmful religious teachings of their youth. The brand was no longer a unified monolith. It was fractured into pieces. You had the rebel daughters who were trying to build their own independent, modernized brands, and you had the loyalists who stayed at the compound, desperately trying to maintain a low profile and pretend everything was fine. But out of the ashes of that 2021 cancellation, a new ecosystem was born, the Duggar Snark community. Millions of reality TV fans and media analysts transitioned from watching the show on television to aggressively tracking the family's every move on Reddit, TikTok, and Instagram. The audience retention didn't die, it just moved platforms. People became obsessed with tracking the family's private jets, cross-referencing their social media posts, and hunting for the next big scandal. And that, my friends, is exactly where we find ourselves today, in March 2026. Because the trust between the Duggars and the public is completely annihilated. Any rumor, any whisper of misconduct is instantly amplified into a massive digital wildfire. The internet has been conditioned to believe that where their eyes smoke with this family, there is an absolute inferno. Which brings us to the exclusive internet theories currently breaking the internet. Right now, social media is absolutely flooded with unconfirmed but highly detailed rumors that a second Duggar brother, Joseph Duggar, is allegedly caught in the crosshairs of a massive legal situation, with an arrest date rumored to have been March 18, 2026. In the weeks leading up to March 18, 2026, something incredibly bizarre started happening across social media. Anonymous tips began flooding into popular reality TV gossip pages. Arkansas locals on Reddit started reporting unusual police activity around properties connected to the Duggar family trust. Flight trackers noticed private planes, heavily utilized by the family in times of crisis, making sudden, unlogged trips. And then, the internet theories exploded. A second Duggar brother was allegedly facing imminent arrest. The name at the center of this digital hurricane? Joseph Duggar. Now, I have to pause here because this is where the psychology of this brand collapse gets absolutely fascinating. Why is the internet so obsessed with this specific rumor? Because Joseph was never the problem child. In the lore of 19 Kids and Counting, Joseph was painted as the quiet, obedient, rule-following son. He was the one who went to the unaccredited Bible college. He was the one who seemed completely devoted to his father's strict, fundamentalist rules. So, for exclusive internet theories to point the finger at him, it's completely shattering the last remaining illusion that any part of this family's foundation is stable. According to the massive Reddit megathreads and viral TikToks that dropped on March 18th, the rumored arrest isn't just a minor traffic violation. Sleuths are theorizing everything from massive white-collar financial fraud tied to the family's endless LLCs to severe local charges that are currently sealed under heavy legal protection. Some TikTok detectives claim to have cross-referenced Arkansas police scanner audio with property maps owned by Jim Bob, claiming that a raid occurred. Let me reiterate. As of this exact moment, these are highly explosive, unconfirmed social media theories. The mainstream media like People magazine and USA Today are currently in a holding pattern, waiting for official, unsealed documents before they drop the hammer. But for my channel and for our community, the truth of the charge almost matters less than the impact of the rumor. Because the second the hashtag Duggar arrest started trending again on March 18th, the fragile, independent empires built by the remaining siblings immediately began to crumble. You have to look at how the Duggar family operates today. Without TLC writing them massive checks, the older, married daughters have had to pivot. They've become lifestyle influencers, mommy vloggers, and authors. Joy Anna has a massive YouTube channel where she vlogs her family life. Jessa monetizes her Instagram with heavily curated family content. Ginger completely rebranded herself in Los Angeles as a modern, sneaker-wearing, coffee-drinking author who explicitly stepped away from her parents' strict teachings. Jill is basically living out her redemption arc after writing her New York Times best-selling tell-all, Counting the Cost. These girls rely on sponsor revenue. They rely on brand deals for hair vitamins, meal kits, baby clothes, and skincare routines. But the influencer marketing, the world is incredibly fickle. Brands monitor social media sentiment using highly advanced algorithms. The absolute last thing a family-friendly meal kit company wants is their logo sitting next to a trending hashtag about a second Duggar brother going to prison. According to PR insiders and media analysts, the March 18th rumors have triggered a massive wave of silent cancellations. We are seeing independent sponsors quietly pausing their contracts with the sisters. If you look closely at their social media presence right now, it is eerily quiet. The typical weekly YouTube vlogs have been delayed. The Instagram stories have dried up. It is incredibly tragic when you think about it. The sisters, many of whom were the primary victims of the first massive scandal that TLC tried to cover up, are now having their independent livelihoods threatened by the alleged actions of yet another male family member. The Duggar name is no longer just a television brand. It is a radioactive tag. Even Jim Bob and Michelle have essentially become ghosts. The massive compound in Tontitown, Arkansas, which used to host thousands of people for political rallies and fall festivals, have reportedly gone completely dark. The gates are closed. The family's official blog hasn't been updated in ages. The unified, untouchable, righteous image they sold to Middle America for a decade has completely collapsed into a nightmare of legal fees, fractured relationships, and public humiliation. So what is the future for the Duggar family? Will TLC ever return? Will they ever get another spin-off? Let me be painfully clear. No, absolutely not. The bridge isn't just burned. The ashes have been scattered into the ocean. The 2026 brand collapse isn't just about one person's terrible decisions. It is about the systematic failure of an entire ecosystem. TLC, for years, looked the other way while millions of dollars rolled in. They capitalized on a lifestyle that was fundamentally oppressive, packaging it as quirky, wholesome entertainment for the masses. The network built the pedestal, and the Duggars happily climbed up it, preaching moral superiority while allegedly harboring incredibly dark, systemic abuses of power. When media analysts look back at the history of reality television, 19 Kids and Counting won't be remembered as a success story. It will be taught in PR classes and television history courses as the ultimate cautionary tale. It is the definitive proof that you cannot monetize purity because human beings are flawed, and when you build a glass house on a foundation of secrets, the entire neighborhood is going to hear it when it shatters. Whether the March 18th Joseph theories turn out to be minor legal trouble blown out of proportion by internet sleuths, or yet another massive, multi-year prison sentence for a second brother, the result is exactly the same. The public's trust is permanently gone. The brand value is less than zero. The legacy of the Duggars is no longer about matching outfits, side hugs, and tater-tot casseroles. Their legacy is federal indictments, tell-all survival books, fractured sibling relationships, and an internet fandom that watches their every move like hawks, waiting for the next arrest. They gave up their privacy for fame and fortune, and in the end, the fame turned to infamy, and the fortune is being eaten alive by legal fees and canceled brand deals. The Duggar dynasty is officially dead, and honestly, it's about time. Wow. Okay, you guys, I need to take a breath because the psychology behind this, the family's absolute downfall, is just wild to me. It is truly the end of an era, and a terrifying look at what happens behind the scenes of family reality TV. Now, I want to hear from every single one of you down in the comments because this is where things get really interesting. I have a question for you, and I want you to be brutally honest. Have you ever watched 19 Kids and Counting? Yes/no. And who was your favorite Duggar? Let me know in the comments below. Did you buy into the wholesome family image back in the 2000s? Or did you always have a weird feeling that something darker was going on behind the scenes? Drop your thoughts, drop your theories on the March 18th rumors, and let's get a massive discussion going. If you loved this deep dive and want me to cover more explosive reality TV scandals, please make sure you smash that like button right now. It tells the YouTube algorithm that we are here and we are spilling the real tea. If you haven't already, hit subscribe and turn on that notification bell. We have so many more exposing deep dives coming up, and you definitely do not want to be the last to know. Thank you so much for watching Jenny Expose. Stay safe, stay skeptical, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.